Welcome to Bite Size Nutrition Week 2. Hopefully everybody had a chance to watch week 1 if they were not here live with me. And so you know a little bit about my vision here and my journey and how I got here. So we'll go ahead and jump in, okay, into week 2, phytonutrients. I also really quickly want to point out, a lot of people are asking me for shopping lists and meal plans. And I want to emphasize that what we're doing here is I'm teaching you the skills so that you would be able to write your own meal plans, because you're not always going to have someone who's going to write you a shopping list and tell you exactly what to cook. So hopefully if you see the kinds of things that I'm looking for when I am figuring out what I want to eat, the things that are important to me. So right for this week, the number of phytonutrients that I'm getting, the amount of fiber I'm getting from last week. Hopefully you guys will be able to take that on yourself, and this can be a lifestyle change, not just a diet. Okay, so phytonutrients, phyto comes from the Greek word for plants. Okay, so these are nutrients that come from plants. And the different colors of our food have different types of phytonutrients. So for example, our red ones are going to have carotenoids, lycopene, quercetin. Orange and yellow, we're going to be finding our curcuminoids, our beta carotene, our alpha carotene, our bioflavonoids. Green, we're going to have our catechins, our phytosterols, our phenols, our isoflavones. Blue and purple, maybe you've heard of anthocyanins or resveratrol in wine. White and brown, we'll find things like EGCG from green tea, tannins, allicin, okay, and all these different compounds have different types of benefits. So this is why we say eat the rainbow. And we don't want to focus in on one particular color because of its benefits. We want to eat a variety of these things because it's possible that they also work together to provide these benefits, which I'm going to talk about on a future slide. So my challenge is for you for this week is to try to do a color audit. How many of these different fruits and vegetables and in these different color categories are you consuming? And can you increase it? So if you look at my recipes that I provided on my website, like you'll see that there are lots and lots and lots and lots of different fruits and vegetables that I'm including at each meal so that I get a whole rainbow. Okay, so I'm focusing in here now specifically on one type of phytonutrient that's called a polyphenol, because they act as antioxidants, which I am going to explain in this class. So you can see there's a whole bunch of different compounds. Now, what I don't want you to do is go out and try to find a supplement that has these compounds in it. And the reason why is because a lot of these things work synergistically. So this is where we have more than one component within these plant foods that are working together to provide a beneficial effect. So like just because we say, oh, like broccoli is good for us, oh, and it has this compound in it. Just taking that compound out isn't necessarily going to be healthy. We don't know how it's working together with all the other components that are in broccoli. So it would definitely just be better to eat a big variety of lots of different types of fruits and vegetables. And hopefully maybe that combined action will be greater than just having the one thing. All right, so let's hone in on some benefits of phytonutrients. So you can go ahead and read over here, but I'm going to explain this graphic on this side. So I'm going to start with inflammation. So I think most people know that we don't want to have chronic inflammation. It's something we talk about a lot these days because it's been linked to a lot of different conditions. So this necrosis factor kappa B, this compound regulates certain genes in your body. And one of the things that it can contribute to is starting the inflammation cascade. Okay, and these are some of our inflammatory compounds that are produced by the immune system. Now, I want to point out that inflammation isn't always bad. We need it for a good reason if you have an injury or you're being exposed to some kind of pathogen that can infect you. So The problem is if we get our body ready to fight, right? We're activating the immune system, we've got inflammation present, but there's nothing to fight, then the body might end up fighting itself. Okay, so a lot of these conditions have been linked to chronic inflammation. So I just wanted to point that out, like why that this is why we're concerned about being in an inflammatory state. Okay, so we know that the polyphenols can actually reduce the inflammation. We also know that they can do anti-angiogenesis. So angiogenesis is the production of new blood vessels, basically. And this would be a good thing if we're trying to heal or we're growing, but in the instance of a cell that is growing, some cells that are growing out of control and forming like a tumor, uh, we don't want them to do angiogenesis to create more blood vessels in order for that tumor to survive. So some anti-cancer medications are actually going to act as anti-angiogenesis, okay, but phytochemicals can also contribute to that as well. Anti-proliferation, so again, this is going to have to do with cancer. We want to basically, looking at these molecules, we don't want the cancer to metastasize, so we don't want cells like migrating and moving other places in the body. We don't want, we want cells to be cleaned up if they are not healthy. So we call this apoptosis. Okay, so we have some regulation of like programmed cell death. Okay, basically the cells commit suicide. And then we have a lot of antioxidant activity with our phytonutrients, which I will discuss on a future slide. But so we talked about most of these. Let's see. Also, we know that some of them can help regulate hormones. They have an impact on insulin. So I just read a study that showed that the phytonutrients can actually prevent dysfunction in your pancreas, which is where insulin is produced, so that insulin can be produced. And then it also can have impacts on estrogen, which is a really important hormone. We also see improvements in cholesterol. And then I already talked a little bit about the vascular function stuff and the angiogenesis. So it can actually help make the blood vessels work better. Okay. So why are antioxidants important? Well, they are going to act on free radicals and either reactive oxygen species or reactive nitrogen species. So where do these come from? Why do we have these in our body? Well, they can come from exogenous, meaning outside sources like UV rays can cause us to have free radicals, pollution, things like that. But we also are producing free radicals and reactive species in our body just by living each day. So I had to use this picture because I think the only thing that people ever remember from high school biology is the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. So this is where we make our energy. And in that process, it's not a perfect process. Sometimes we produce reactive oxygen species. So and in our liver, where we do our detoxification, any toxin that's coming into our body, we have to do some chemistry there before we can excrete it out. And during that process, we also can produce these free radicals and reactive species. So we're already producing these, and then we're also getting some from the environment. So we need to do whatever we can to mitigate that. Now, you do have enzymes in your body that can help take care of some of these, but definitely not enough compared to all the things that we're exposed to on a daily basis. So we need to consume antioxidants in order to help mitigate that. So first, let's talk about what a free radical is, or a reactive oxygen species, reactive nitrogen species. So here are my atoms, and they have paired electrons. Okay, so see how these all come in pairs. And they do not like to have an unpaired electron. That is not happy. This is a very angry molecule. A very angry atom. And he's going to go ahead and take some electron from another cell so that it can have all of its complete pairs. So you can see this defenseless cell is so sad. He's been attacked, he's damaged, but now they have an unpaired electron. So they're going to go and they're going to steal one from someone else. So you can see that it's a vicious cycle. So where are these stealing electrons from? Well, they're stealing electrons from, they can interfere with DNA, and DNA damage can cause a whole host of issues. Your cells might not function properly. You can get cancer, things like that. Can also grab electrons and off of lipids in your cell membrane. Okay, so that causing damage to the cell membrane can cause a whole host of issues. And then also it can grab electrons from proteins, and proteins do all kinds of different jobs in your body. They're your hormones, they do transport, they do their enzymes. They're super, super, super important. So we don't want them being damaged. Okay, so that's what free radicals do. So where do antioxidants come into play? Well, here's an antioxidant. Antioxidants are able to give up one of their electrons. So instead of this free radical who's so angry about not having this electron going and stealing it from a healthy cell, the antioxidant can go ahead and give it an electron. Okay, so consuming lots of antioxidants, we can stop the damage that could be caused by free radicals. Okay, so again, it can damage your DNA, your cell membrane, or different proteins in your body. Okay, and then I just have this is a little bit complicated, but I just wanted to put this graphic in here. So we have, so ROS is reactive oxygen species. These are our free radicals. And what happens is the production of reactive oxygen species can increase inflammation, okay, which we already talked about why that would be a problem. But also, inflammation can create reactive oxygen species. So we end up having this vicious cycle. So this is one reason why it would be good to eat tons and tons of fruits and vegetables. We can try to stop this cycle from occurring. Okay, and then also we've discovered that a lot of the good, healthy bacteria in our body either eat polyphenols or they help us transform them into things that we can use. And what we've noticed is that if you eat a lot of polyphenols, so these are the compounds in fruits and vegetables, and also nuts and whole grains and legumes, they will increase the amount of these good bacteria. Okay, and these good bacteria, as we mentioned in the last class, produce short chain fatty acids, and we looked at how that can help us with weight loss, satiety, and then helping with our blood sugar and things like that. These guys down here, these are potentially pathogenic bacteria. So we do typically have them in our gut, but we don't want them to be in large ratios. So eating the polyphenols actually reduces the amount of these. And these guys contribute to, so adipogenesis is producing fat cells, lipogenesis is producing fats, okay, which obviously would lead to obesity. They're going to have more inflammation, and that can impact things like diabetes and cardiovascular disease. So lots and lots and lots of reasons to consume polyphenols. All right, we'll call that a night.